Good morning. Oh, wait, sorry. Well, it's 12:01. I'm only off by like a minute. Give me a second. Anybody coming in? I'm just inviting people. So. Da, 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 da. Okay. And. Yep. Yep. Wish we could look people up. Hi, Kira. How are you? Did you get our email, love? I did send you an email. I'm just waiting for Monica to come in. Aw, thank you. Awesome. We appreciate that. Just waiting for some more people to come in. We're just going to kind of give a rundown as to what we are doing and our next steps. So, but I appreciate the love and support. That's amazing. Still very new to this whole TikTok thing and inviting and la 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 la, all this stuff. I'm like, who do I invite? It's going to invite people. Well, nice people, anyways. I don't want anyone mean in here. Thank you. So yeah, we're trying to think of a subject to sort of touch on today. Um, we want to open the floor for people to submit stories for us to read on the podcast, and we're going to kind of yeah, that's a great idea. Depression would be a good one. That's awesome, Kira. I'm so happy. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to. Other things, that obviously affect us physically, mentally, um, you know, all the things that we go through in life. One thing we can't avoid is trauma. We know that. But how we deal with it is what's important, right? Making it a better world for the rest of the people that we're going to be leaving it to. So yeah, just give me a second, guys. I'm still inviting people. I'm still trying to figure it out because you can't like look people up, which I think is really silly, but it is what it is. Let's see. Let me see. Yeah, I don't understand. So how's everybody doing today? Drop an emoji if you want. Okay. Still figuring this out. If I did, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sick of not doing. Oh, that's no fun. So just so everybody is aware, this chat, there really isn't like there's not really a filter on it. So if anybody is easily offended, I highly recommend, or easily triggered, I highly recommend not maybe not being a part of this live. And I mean that with all sorts of love. I just don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable or hurt. You know, mainly uncomfortable. I'm not out to hurt people, so that's not my thing. But you know what I mean. Monica should be here any minute. What are you sick with? Do you have a cold? My oldest daughter has a cold, which means the rest of us are going to get it. Yay. Okay. What is that? What is happening here? Hello. Hello, Lunar Moon. Okay. So Caden's your little sister. All right. So, Kira, the podcast, what do you love about it? What is your oh, there she is. There she is. Are you Are you there? I can you're flickering.
Is it working?
Yeah, there you are. Good morning. No, it's not morning. You're gonna stop saying that.
I don't know how to do any of this.
Thank you, Lunar Moon. I hope you have a lovely day too. Definitely the way y'all talk about coping skills and how you're awesome. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Guys, the gifts so sweet. Muchly appreciated. Are you there, Mon?
I am
Oh, okay.
just trying to.
We're trying to figure out.
I'm not used to seeing it from this end, so there's like a lot of stuff going on. There's like all kinds of stuff at the top. I don't know what any of that is.
Yeah, don't pay attention to any of that stuff. That's just like the ranking. Sort of that this is like this is the video game aspect that I talk about. How it's got like
Yeah.
all the little things.
Yeah, there's like so much going on.
I know it's really busy. I try to. I just if you can see the bottom, I just answer questions as they come up, or just
Does it
good
say
morning,
somebody
Dash.
sent me a rose? Sent Monica the
Yes.
Sea Traveler a rose? What's
Yeah.
that?
So
Thank
Kira
you.
sends you gifts.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yes, we get gifts sent to us. Oh, you go live at work? What do you do for work? Hi, M Street. I just say hi to people as they come in, whether they interact or not. We encourage that you do. Drive-in theater. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So we were just talking about where
Sorry,
did you
I didn't mean to do that. Did I turn it off? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you're not there we go.
I'm not like 60, I
Hi,
promise.
girl. That's hilarious.
I do know how to work my phone. I just don't know how to do lives.
Hi, Jacqueline.
All right.
Hi, Apple User. Yeah, so anyways, we were just discussing kind of like topics to maybe do, like for trauma tales. Somebody mentioned, good morning, Avery. Somebody mentioned doing like depression, different stories on depression.
Well, that's certainly a lot. That's something that I think a lot of people can identify with,
Oh,
right?
interesting. I'm gonna write that down.
Associative identity.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Well, if somebody wants to submit a story about that, that would be good. Because some of the things, like what we want to do with the trauma tales specifically, is we have our own stories and we have our own, trials and tribulations or whatever that we've been through, but we want to speak to people who have experienced other things as well. And that we feel the best way to do that is for people to either you can join us on our podcast or submit these story so that we have some context for it, because we are not like therapists, so we haven't like studied all of these different pieces, but we can probably relate to a lot of different things. So it's really just like an open dialogue discussion about some of these topics, but with the essence of somebody who has been through it personally, who's sharing. So it gives a sort of a, that personalized experience.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, want to be able to share it, and then like for, us to get just different what do you call it? Concepts. Is that the right word? Am I using the right word?
Yeah, look at all these things. Thank you
Yeah.
for sending
Thank
us
you.
stuff. It is like a video game.
Totally. I know I find it's really hard to, this is the only thing I do find with this particular platform is hard to start a conversation and keep continuing because you're just kind of like, there's like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So,
Yeah, please submit your video. That'd be great.
yep. So, yeah, anyone else out there that has, if they want to share anything, we do have a link in our Linktree bio in our Got Trauma account. So you go through some things and you can submit your stories and they can be read on the podcast. You can do it anonymously or non anonymously, whatever you're comfortable with. And then, yeah. You're just, Monica, you're just like absorbing all this. You're like, what the actual F am I in right now?
Yeah, I'm so confused by all this. Like when we've done it on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that I'm way more familiar with because it doesn't have all this extra stuff. You just see the comments coming through and people who are joining.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like, there's lots of,
It's very busy. It's definitely busy, that's for sure.
and if I touch something, like there's so many little pieces of it.
Miranda? Yeah, there is. It's kind of it's definitely just like, what is this? What is this place? But yeah. Um so I'm just what else? See, I get overwhelmed too, right? Like I have things written down and I'm not paying attention because I'm just like super overwhelmed by all the pinging and dinging that happens.
Yeah.
Hello, Prince. Um yeah, so I guess a little bit of background about what our podcast is about. I'd done a holistic healing course, and after I did the course, we had readings done, and in the reading, one of my fellow classmate people was doing card readings, and she's like, "You need to be doing something in the field of a podcast," which is funny because I've always thought about it, and I've had people say that to me. And then what kind of solidified it for me was when you went on your the retreat and you sent me the video, and it was like the most incredible space I'd ever seen. And I did a meditation with that in mind, and then that's when the name of the podcast, that you had to be in the podcast, everything, it was just like a very, just everything was brought into this very, like, this is what you have to do, signs from the universe, and here we are. So
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool because I was trying to figure out, like, I was still working at my corporate job and I was trying to figure out what to do to sort of turn my mess of a situation into something positive. And so when you kind of brought this to me, this idea, it was like, okay, like this sounds like a great idea and it aligns with sort of what I was thinking, because one of the things I've tried to do for the last year is figure out a way to turn some of this, like I call it my mess, turning my mess into a message, which is like some of these experiences that I've been through. When you've gone through some shit in your life, you have a choice to either sit and, just sort of take it and let it sort of disrupt your life, which at times, that's happened to me, or you can choose to bring something positive from it, which seems impossible at the time
Yeah.
when you're in the thick of it for sure. But when you have those moments of clarity, the way I looked at it was, I don't want all this pain and discomfort and all these like learning experiences that I've been through just sort of go to waste. Just, I mean, it's not a waste because I've learned from it, but I didn't want to, I wanted to do something with it and be like, okay, you know what? At least I can start helping others or teaching something or, relaying some sort of message to other people about what I've learned along the way. And that was sort of like, this became sort of the catalyst for it. The podcast became a catalyst for being able to help other people who've been through some things. And we've sort of come out the other end, in a lot of ways, and being able to sort of share that perspective and share what that journey has been for us, and it's still a journey. And the podcast is really, in essence, trying to capture a lot of those moments and a lot of those thoughts, and we're always learning, so you can see sometimes in those episodes that we've talked about something that, and it's hit us differently, or it's, we're having these like aha moments, or we're learning from each other. We're very, like, we're best friends, so like we talk all the time, but like, so we know each other very well, and we can openly and candidly say things to each other without it, like, we know like how the other person will react a little
Yeah,
bit, so
exactly.
it's like easy to be honest with each other that way. And through that, like, we've grown and learned a lot, right? And then so now, like, sort of that next step is like, we will continue doing this from our perspective, but we want to bring people sort of, from our community into this space and do it in a way where it's comfortable for other people, and it's, can be done anonymously, it can be done in person. We can host lives with people to join, we can bring people onto the podcast, we can submit, have people submit stories that they've been through, who want to have some like dialogue or get that shit off their chest, and just talk about their story, but not do it directly. So these are like these avenues that we're looking at, and hopefully people, will come along for that ride with us. Hi, Bonnie.
He's giving us gifts.
So what is this? So we got a gift badge. There's a team bracelet. I don't know what any of this stuff is. What is a team bracelet? I mean, I love it. No
Well,
idea
this is kind of like your first live that you're.
that I'm in. Yeah, I've only
Yeah,
watched
that
them.
we're actually.
And I see
We're
all this
actually.
stuff happening like to people during their lives, but like, I don't know what it means.
Yeah, it's definitely. Definitely. Yeah, it's weird. It's for sure weird. But yeah, like to what you were saying, like this is we want to share this experience so everybody can get sort of. We want everybody to get in that raw space of sharing that, because that's really what it's all about at the end of the day is trying to be open and honest with ourselves and share these stories and shake this shit and not hold on to it, right? And not have it wear us down, until we're at the point now where we're like, okay, well, if I don't deal with it, it will probably kill me.
Yeah.
Right. So just
I hate to
getting to
say it,
that.
but that tends to be the feeling when you aren't addressing it. Kind of hits
Yeah.
you, and that's what sort of the last year has been like for me. It's really hit me. I say like a Mack truck. It's hit me like a Mack truck because I had no choice but to start dealing with stuff. And I mean, it's, at the end of the day, that's good, right? I want to be able to move on and move through these things, right? And so
Absolutely.
this sort of space, like with our podcast and sort of the things that we touch on and the community that we're growing, is to support each other who, who either just want to sit and watch. That's cool too. You can sit on the sidelines, like, and just learn and observe, and that's all good. But also, we're open to having people, you know talk up, or speak up, like talk
Yeah.
about it, join, be a little bit more present
Whatever
in
you're
the
comfortable
space
with,
as
right?
well. Yeah.
Sorry, a bunch of new people came in. Sorry, guys, if I missed saying hello to you. It just everybody comes. It cycles so quick. It's hard to keep up. But thank you for joining, and welcome to our what was our episode? We're just like, wasn't it Welcome to the Shit Show?
Yeah.
That what our first episode was?
Mhm.
Oh, it's true, right? When
Yeah.
you're sorting through all this stuff, it's like just a
Well,
mess, like you
yeah, you
said.
feel like it's a bit of a shit show and like it kind of is.
Well, it is, and you're like, where do I start? And then you start and you stop and you start and you stop, and then you feel stuck. Especially when you're like the identifying how the mental and like how it just takes that physical toll on the body is really hard sometimes. Like I never understood for the longest time, like when I would have panic attacks and I'd be like, no, I'm dying. Like I have to go to the hospital. There is no way in hell this is normal.
Yeah.
There's no way that having a heartbeat of 180 for no reason out of the blue is normal. This is a heart condition. It has to be. Just not realizing what was going on and then stepping out of that and looking at what my situation was at the time and being like, well, holy shit, no wonder.
Yeah.
Like, how would you not be affected like that, right? But you just don't associate that at the time.
Oh, for sure.
It's so hard to put yourself in that and be like, yeah, this is actually because of, and also too, there's that, that part of you that kind of like shames yourself into believing that it's really not that big a deal. You're kind of like, oh, why is this that big a deal? I'm making too big of a deal about it. Like maybe I need to chill out. Meanwhile, your body's like, no, 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 no. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
This has affected you for a very long period of time. And now we need to address it.
Yeah.
So, right. But it's
Yeah, the
definitely.
physical manifestations are real. It's a real thing. My friend actually just gave me a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And I've
Good
heard
one.
about it and I've like looked into it quite a bit because that's essentially been my life for the last little while. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to actually read the book and learn a little bit more about that. I think for the main point of like not feeling like you're a little crazy. Like, when you're in it and you're like, oh, this isn't a big deal. Like, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. This isn't a big deal. Like, but it is. And it's
Yeah.
happening in ways that, um, you don't understand. Like, you're not maybe a professional in it. So you don't know like really what's happening. And this book, I guess, breaks that down a little bit more about those like physical manifestations and like what your body goes through when it's doing these things. So it's in those moments
Yeah.
or after.
Well, it's kind of interesting, like somatic workouts, right?
Hmm.
How those are really good to bring the to bring your body back into check at like if you're living in that state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like that's I lived like that my entire life
Yeah.
until it finally, I think like the panic attacks I had when I was a kid were very much like disassociative. I would just out of my body, right? And then as they got older, they were like, no, we really need you to pay attention to us now. Like this is stuff that really
Yeah.
needs to be addressed. And that's when cutting my mother off was the catalyst to really dealing with that and starting to move through what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that
I
was
think
something
like
I
when
was,
I was younger and I was having the breakdowns or the panic attacks and all of that sort of stuff, I I don't know if I was able to like cry it out easier. When you get older, and I don't know if that's just like because you have so many other like life pressures and responsibilities that I think when I was like 17, 18 years old, I was able to like dedicate some time to feeling some of it. And then as I got older, I pushed those feelings down and ignored them because I had a lot of other shit I had to deal with as well. You got
yeah,
families and stuff like that. Like you just don't have, you have to go to work. Like, when you're 17 years old, like you don't, you have that many responsibilities. So you can dedicate a little bit of time to it.
yeah,
But what that ends up doing, I've learned, is like you didn't make the time for it in the beginning, and your body will force you to make time for it later.
exactly.
And
That's
it's
exactly.
sucked because it's not going to be at the times that you want it to be.
No,
You're like, oh yeah, okay, now it's my time to like deal with this and I'll rest and like, like those perfect moments just don't really happen. And it's not that simple. And then I have been, pushed to a point where it's like, yep, now you have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Bonnie. Bonnie was just saying she was saying yesterday about feeling being dead inside, and that um said, oh, go ahead. Did you want to finish their thought? That happens to me all the time. I'll be like getting really excited about a thought, and then I'll accidentally send it before it's finished, and then it'll just come out as a bunch of random words, and I'm like, great, I can't fix this because there's 30 more comments in front of it, and you just I messed it up. But yeah, like the dead inside feeling, I that has happened to me a couple of times when it's gotten so bad that I'm just not dealing with anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep burying it, and all of a sudden it's just numb, total numbness.
Yeah, like I remember when I was dealing with my grandmother's estate and that was really, really, really chaotic. I literally remember like, and it's, I don't know if I'll be able to articulate it well, but I remember literally like feeling so stressed and so overwhelmed and literally like doing everything in my body to just like suppress it. And I remember thinking, I'm like, this isn't good. Like, this is
Yeah.
not good that you're suppressing this. But like I had no choice because I had a newborn, I had responsibilities, I had like all this shit to do. So like, but I remember literally like I felt like it was like shaking me. Like it was like, oh, I'm gonna pay for that later. Like, ugh, it was
Yeah.
gross.
Well, no, but it's so true, right? You do. You bury it down and bury it down. Because I mean, for me, anyways, I'm just really bad at giving myself the grace to say, hey, you deserve to deal with this. I'm kind of one of those people. I'm like, oh, somebody has it way worse than me. I need to sort of just suck it up, right?
Yeah.
And then now that I'm coming out of that, somebody actually said to me the other day, they were like, oh, your situation is so much worse than mine. And I was like, no, it's not that it's worse. It's just a different scar.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I feel like that's the other problem too. People make it almost like a competition, like one up you. Oh, you've had it this bad. Well, I've had it this much worse. And then that sort of depletes the person who's trying to be open and talk about their experience because, you
Yep.
know, they're feeling that vulnerability and somebody comes in and just cuts it
Cuts.
off you know, right at the umbilical cord and it's like, nope, not for you. And
Yeah.
that really, really fucks with people.
Oh yeah. And everybody's situation, like you can never judge like who people have different tolerances for different things in their life. Like,
Exactly.
some people can't eat bread and other people can. Like, like to say
Yeah.
that you're going to be handling a situation the same as another person or I'm handling it better than another person or their situation's worse, like it doesn't make any sense. Like you can't approach it like that. Don't and it's pointless to even think about it like that because what affects you and until you've been through something, you really don't know how you're going to handle it. So like the judgment has to be completely put aside.
Well, that's the
And
problem, right?
yeah, like thinking about like one upping each other. I hate to say that that's like a reality, but I think people also like the other side of that is that people don't want to talk because right, they don't feel like it's worthy of being talked about
Exactly.
because they're
Yeah.
hearing like a catastrophic situation. They're like, oh, my like little, my losing a parent or something like that, which was absolutely tore their world apart, doesn't seem like it's on the same level of somebody who's experienced something horrific. But they're both
Yeah.
it's both trauma. It's both shitty experiences. It's both people handling things differently,
Yeah.
going through different situations. I mean, sadly, we're all going to go through some stuff. It's just a
Well,
reality of life,
I
but
mean, like traumatic
that's why we
events.
support each other because we all
Well,
know it's going to fucking
exactly.
happen.
Well, that's why we have amazing people like Ignited and B, and we're building this community. And this is what's so important to us: is building this community of rawness and sharing, and not being afraid of what anybody says and not giving a shit. Like it's not a competition. We want to build each other up. We want to create a space where everybody can come in and be like, "This happened to me. Okay, now I have a space to work through it." And maybe it wasn't as bad as someone else's story, but it was bad enough to me, right? I didn't digest this well as through my experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
I know, I'm just like seeing all these things. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna add something to that, but no, it's true. Like, oh, I said earlier, but like sitting on the sidelines, like that's not a negative thing because some people are at different areas of their journey as well. And if you just want to sit and observe and learn, like that is 100% like a good idea. And that is,
Absolutely.
we support that as well. You want to be forward and talk about your stuff, like we 100% support all of that as well. Like that is also a really good thing. It doesn't matter just because people, like I've been on both sides too, right? Like obviously this is my first like TikTok live. Like I've done other stuff, but I don't know how to talk on TikTok world. Like, about
TikTok
my shit.
world.
But
Like it's a
I'm
new
trying.
language. They're like, I don't know this new language. No,
Yeah,
for sure. And
this is
it's
another beast.
I do like I appreciate that, the whole like sitting in the back and just being able to sort of absorb what you're hearing and absorb. You're kind of building that if you're somebody who really feels, locked into not being able to talk about the things that happen to you, sitting back and watching other people, going through that and talking about their stuff, kind of brings you, okay, like I do have that courage. I can talk about this. I am in a safe space. It's not a competition. It's not this. It's just people trying to build each other up, right? It's not I mean,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
was
that
for
was
me for a really long time.
yeah.
Like I just felt like, "Hi James. Hi Jess. Sorry guys, you're coming in. It's coming in
Well,
quick, so
you're
it's
seeing
it's
them come faster than I am too.
I know, it just comes up. Hello Brenda. Like again, if I missed anybody, I'm really sorry. It's just everybody's cycling in really quickly, and when you're trying to talk and pay attention to the screen, you get distracted and then you lose your train of thought. As we have several times. But yeah, so just back to quickly for anyone who's just coming in, we're discussing our podcast and what we are about. And yes, exactly. As Ignited says, letting people know they don't have to live in silence. So if anyone isn't following Ignited, I highly recommend that you do. She is amazing. She's another person on this journey of um, being open and raw and, giving people yeah, the safe space. We're providing a safe space for people to talk about the things that, you know, getting comfortable being uncomfortable is my favorite thing to say,
Yeah.
because I just feel like that's, and also too, I did invite B, but I'm not sure if I think she had stuff to do today. So Be a Woman of Faith is another one to follow, and she's also an amazing part of this community that we're building. So,
And Bonnie, you've
but
seen Bonnie probably in the comments lighting it up.
yes,
She's
and
lovely
Bonnie is
too.
too. Check out Bonnie's stuff. This is how to end. Yeah, it is. This is how to end the stigma of silence. Absolutely. Just yelling it from the rooftop
Yeah.
and not giving a shit what anybody thinks.
And okay, so I'm curious. I mean, obviously our podcast is called Got Trauma because that's what it is. Um, but like, is the word trauma, like I've been tossing this idea around that like, is trauma, like, what do people think when they hear that word? Um,
Good one, Mom.
like, is that a word that's triggering in itself? Is that like a too polarizing word? Do people identify with the word trauma? Like, when people see like the Got Trauma podcast, does that um like what is sort of the vibe behind that from other people's perspectives? Because of course we identify with the name, but I'm interested to hear what other people think of it because trauma is a bit of a, it's a serious word, and obviously some people can identify with it and some people can't.
Ignited said it drew her in, so that's, thanks, Bonnie.
It's
Yeah.
straight to the
Well, that,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that was kind of the idea behind it was like, this is what it is. Like we're not beating around the bush. This is what we're talking about.
Well, exactly, and it also stands for the fact that we're not in this sugarcoating, you know, like we're not sugarcoating our experiences, right? Like we're
Yeah.
not gonna.
The
That's
whole
the, and I mean
podcast
that's
is
probably
pretty-
been
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think
definitely.
we don't want to we don't want to change it. And I realize that the whole podcast is triggering. There's different episodes that will resonate with different people because we cover a variety of different topics. And that's on purpose, of course.
Yeah.
But it is triggering, and it needs to come into your life at a time that makes sense. It's and for that reason, it isn't everybody's cup of tea, right?
Yep.
Because it is, we're sort of approaching it from people who are identifying with it and who are moving through it and trying to heal from it. People who are sort of in the thick of it might not find it appropriate timing to like listen to some of the episodes or engage in some of the conversation, and that is important to protect your mental space and identify where you are at, because we don't want it to trigger people in ways that it's making you like feel bad. Like being triggered sucks, and we know what that is about. Um, Identifying with the topics or identifying with the conversation and feeling like people understand you is different. So
Yep.
hopefully, when people, with different episodes or different topics or different conversations, it's going to hit different for different people at different times, I guess is what I'm
Yep.
getting at.
No, 100%. And that's exactly it. Like we've had a lot of people that have, said to us, like, I haven't listened to the podcast yet. I mean, I've had friends that have apologized, like, I can't listen to. Yeah, I don't know why weird things are getting just blocked out. I've unblocked them because that's stupid. You didn't say anything, so I don't. Apparently, triggering is an inappropriate word to use. I don't know. These
Oh,
things are
really?
some of these things are just weird. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, fallen one. That's very kind. Um, but yeah, just the everybody. It's kind of a listen at your own risk sort of thing, and I don't mean that to sound insensitive, but it's very much a healing journey is to every individual. It's just as unique as a snowflake, right? Like it's not the same for anybody. And we just have different. I mean, we're very raw. What we talk about is very raw and it's very real and it's real to us and to other people. So, we very much I think people that have approached us and said like I can't listen to it, it's just because they're not at that point where they're ready to hear some things that they, set them off, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think you're getting the exact same notifications that I'm getting
We're
right now
fine.
too.
Yeah, we're in that same group chat. Yeah, well, I was
Um,
just curious. I don't we're not looking at changing like the name of it or anything, but I just wasn't sure like how does that, how does like the word trauma resonate with people, because it is a pretty serious word, and we do try to take a lighthearted approach like to what we're talking about. Like there is quite a bit of, laughing and stuff like that we do in the episodes. So it's not like all doom and gloom for sure. But we are talking about sensitive things. So.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we have definitely morphed into our lives a very wonderful dark sense of humor. So, I mean, it's not all bad, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly. Thank you for the rose. I don't know what roses are, but I'm happy to receive them. Oh, yes, I'll find out after because I think TikTok will send me like a notification or tell me something.
Yeah,
But
you'll
I
get
know these are
notified.
like, are these the badges or something? Or are these,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
I'm
you,
not
Fallen
sure
One.
what
I
they
appreciate
are.
this. This is so nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Ignited. Everybody's sending us. I'm still so, this whole thing just kind of floors me. It's so interesting.
It's not all bad. There's points of laughing at it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good, Bonnie. I'm glad.
Well, it's good when you can get to a point where you can kind of like been like, oh yeah, that was a roller coaster ride, but I fucking survived it. And it is like, you gotta look back and be like just grateful for the day and happy about it, because like, it's formed you as a person, it's formed your opinions, it's made you more open-minded, it's you can connect with more people. Like all of these experiences do shape you. So
No, absolutely. It's What did I just see? I saw
Sometimes we
this
could
thing
have a
of,
little less of them would be great. I'm like, oh,
well,
sometimes I'm like,
exactly.
really another life lesson. Like I'm kind of over it.
Well, it's funny too because I feel like things repeat themselves until you kind of hear the in between.
Yeah.
So there's that, when you're not listening to what you should be doing. And I mean, I feel like this is something that I'm like, this is my self sabotaging part of myself where, did I say that right? I feel like I've really over enunciated that. Sorry. Um, that part of myself that it's like, I know I need to be like meditating. I know I need to be, um, you know, going out and being outside more and doing more things that are good for my soul and everything else. But I'll put other things in front of that. I'll be like, no, I actually need to do all this laundry and clean this house and then be pissed off at the people that live in it because they're not doing it. And it's just to completely just not have, um, you
Yeah.
know, sure, follow on with your question.
Yeah, I think
Just to not have accountability for what I need to do for myself is essentially what it is.
I've had to make a shift towards like getting away from that and not putting as much pressure on myself for all of those other things because yeah, like you burn yourself out, right? Like and if you when you aren't making time for yourself to do those things, I've really had to make a conscious effort to make that a priority.
Ooh, that's a, how do you get over compound?
When you say you
I
want to
would,
get over, what do you mean by get over compounded grief? Because I'm not trying to be insensitive, but these are people that you cared about and they're always going to have a piece of you. So I think I lost my grandmother who was like my mother who I mentioned earlier in the live that I did her. I was the executive of her estate. It was very crazy, but I have lost somebody who is like my one of the most important people in my life, and I don't know if you ever get over any of it. So when you say you want to get over it, I think are you talking about like moving on, or are you talking about like stepping into a next chapter and figuring out how life is without these people? So that would be my question to you. I think getting a little bit more clear on what you mean by getting over it. It isn't something that like, my heart goes out to you. That's a lot. And I think,
that is a lot.
time probably helps with that. In making, how each day just gets, maybe I mean, I can't even say each day gets a little easier because some days are better than other days. And
Yeah.
it's yeah,
There's don't seem to help.
and you don't get over it. But you can be at peace with it, as in doctors don't seem to help. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
doctors have an agenda, and at the end of the day, I don't know where you live. We live in Canada. I mean, doctors are in business, and medication is a business, and those are, specifically the medication. I think is an aid to help in certain situations. Saskatchewan. Um, and I'll just speak from my perspective. I've tried the medication and it does help at certain times of my life. But I've done other things to try to find, like Ignited said, find some peace, find some clarity, have moments of I don't want like relaxation or like just finding moments where you can be a little bit more relaxed or a little bit more at ease.
Yep.
And, you know, we doing practices like the somatic exercises, yoga, meditation. I have traveled extensively. Like you can see my channel is Heal Through Travel. I've done a lot of traveling, which has helped to give myself something back. So that was a bit of a self-love act. at different times of my life when I've been going through some things. So I don't know, Courtney, what have you done to sort of ease
Um,
yourself?
on the grief part, like I'm with Ignited there. It's one of those things that it just and again, not to sound insensitive, death is one of the shittiest facts of life that we know. No matter what, it will happen, and it is, it can be absolutely earth shattering, especially when you've had it consecutively. For me, I had to sit in my grief. I had to sit with it. I had to identify it. I cried with it. I got mad at it. I totally understand what you mean there, Fallen One, being in haze, because I lost my dad, and that my dad was, and I always say this, my safest unsafe parent. So he was the most, like the person I could rely on out of both parents, and I don't have him anymore, and I also don't speak to my mom, so I don't have any support in that regard. And I had to sit in it and just sort of hit every emotion as it came up, because I mean, for me, a lot of it was like despair. I felt despair.
Hmm.
I was like, what do I do? You're not here anymore. Like, I never thought I would live on this planet where you didn't exist, right? So it's
Yeah,
definitely a work in progress, right? It's just something you keep working through as it comes up.
yeah, and the haze part, yeah, I can identify with that too because you're almost like you're just moving through life. And I think one of the hardest things, especially for somebody who's lost, like who's been the person who's lost someone, your life feels like it stops and
Yeah.
everybody else's life continues on. And maybe theirs, who are close with you or who are affected by it stop very briefly. But if you're really close to that person, or this was your child, or your parent, or your spouse, or something like that, where it was your everything, your life stops. And it's very difficult to try to logically understand, like, how can other people just be carrying on their life when all of this has happened? Like, and that I found quite difficult, because I was, couldn't figure out how I could even function anymore. So the haze part is very real, and the fact that you even recognize that, like, that you're in that is a good thing, because that means that you, like, are in touch with what you're feeling, which is part of, like, that sitting with it, because you might feel like you're just sort of in in the thick of it, but you're starting to move through those feelings, and you're starting to move through those
Yeah.
emotions. And
Overwhelmed is a big one.
yeah, overwhelm, absolutely.
Yeah, and the overwhelm will cause the haze, and if
Yeah.
you disassociate, because that's when I get overwhelmed, I disassociate, which makes me feel like I'm furthering progression in anything, because um I have a really hard time. I want things to just be over. I
Yeah.
want to just be like, okay, this is the part of my life. I've been here. I want to move through this. So I'm impatient when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I find when I try to force myself through it or look for, a quick solution, is always when I get absolutely thrown on my ass. And it's like, no, you need to take this and you need to sit with it and you need to move it really slow. And that's the hardest part, because nobody likes sitting in that kind of grief. It's awful.
No.
It
And if you
hurts.
can make sitting in that a little bit more comfortable for yourself, which is, like, just to my point of, like, when I traveled, I was able to dedicate some personal time to myself in an environment that I really enjoyed, because sitting in your bed at home fucking sucks when you're in the thick of it. If you can shake up your environment a little bit, like, that's where people talk about going for walks and that sort of thing, or, taking, time for yourself and removing yourself and changing up your environment. Like, that just helps get a little bit of, like, momentum, and it just helps with, like, you getting a hold of your mindset, getting a hold of your thoughts, and being able to, like, have a little bit of clarity. So that for me has worked. Helped, not worked, helped, through some of the situations I've been through. So hopefully that, gives a little bit All I do is work and sleep. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when like we have responsibilities, and obviously
Yeah.
going to work is one of them. You have to make money, especially in today's like day and age, is, feels difficult to get ahead. So yeah, it's a tough one. Just know that there are people who completely understand where you're at and, are
Yeah.
sending you love and support, because like truly it is a difficult spot to be in, and it won't last forever. It won't. And just reminding yourself that there is a light, at the end of the tunnel. Like those, it's funny because the older I get, I'm like, all these like cliche like sayings that like you hear growing up, and you're like, oh, whatever. What does that mean? Where's the light at the
You're
end of
like,
the
now
tunnel?
I can apply it.
Oh, okay. Now I get that, right? And, you know, these people were
Well,
probably geniuses who came up with them. But,
our knowledge comes from experience.
mhm.
That's, you know, experience and being in the thick of it, and then wanting to share it with people. So, I mean, knowledge is power, and why keep it if you can spread it? You know.
And a lot of people, like, a lot of people go through similar scenarios. So, again, this is, we're trying to create a space that is, to be able to have that open dialogue. There are people who are watching right now who can identify with what you're going through to some degree, and, is sending love, and, may not seem like no one's giving you a hug, but we are, virtual hugs,
Absolutely.
because it is, it's tough. And getting over
Definitely is.
something, I don't know if we ever go over it. We always talk about like healing's a journey, right? So,
It is. It's not a destination. It's a journey, and I don't. I mean, I think if we keep that in mind, that's to me, and this is just my personal opinion, one of the most important parts of a healing process is identifying that it isn't a race. It's not about a destination. It's just about getting better and better as you go on. Always just, taking those steps and doing better for yourself.
well, I don't know. I'm just reading the comments, threw it back in your face. My, there's two perspectives I have on that, because for one, that sucks, and that's not cool. But perhaps the person that you're talking to, um, like truly does not understand what you're saying. And it may come off as insensitive at the time, because it is. We want people to be supportive and be open and listen to what you're saying, and just, offer love and support, right? So maybe she doesn't understand what you're actually going through. My bet is that she doesn't. She's probably not been through a similar situation, or doesn't is not in touch with their feelings at the time enough to be able to provide any support. I've had people be very closed off when I've tried to open up about things, and I totally get the feeling of like I'm just not going to say anything anymore.
Yep.
And I have to remind myself all the time, because I'm very much like, I'll do it on my own then. Fuck it, I'll
Yep.
just do it on my own.
Yep.
And that's it's hard, and it's I have to really remind myself that it's because they don't get it. Like they don't understand what I'm going through, and that's a good thing, because you don't want people to go through, shitty scenarios either. Um, so I don't know if there's often not any like malice or ill intentions when it comes to people not being supportive. I truly feel like people are not able to be a level of support because they're overwhelmed themselves in their life, or because they truly don't get it. And that's no fault of your own, because you're just trying to just get through it, and you're just trying to share your experience the best way that you can. And my thought is just like, as hard as it is, like try not to be angry that
I have a
that
sweater.
person doesn't
Sorry.
support you, because it's not going to help your situation. And there are people who you can find who, maybe are going to be more supportive, and talking about it is good. You know, not talking about it anymore, like it hurts my heart to hear you say that, because I know what that feels like, and it's not the answer. and it's not going to help you in the healing journey. So, hopefully that doesn't stop you from talking about it to other people who you're close with, because I think it just sometimes takes, the right person at the right time, and it could be somebody who you don't even know, like, who very little about, or the wonderful virtual world that we have now. So hopefully hopefully you can find the strength to keep talking about it to other people, and I appreciate your open and candidness with talking with us about it, because
Absolutely.
we do know it is difficult.
We also, if you click the link in our bio, there is a Facebook community group that we have, which is all about love and support, and it's a safe place if you want to join and talk. There's lots of people in there that would be happy to
Yeah.
support you.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very safe and supportive place. Yep, definitely. And you can talk anonymously in it or not, which is a good feature about it. So, yeah. Some nice
You're welcome.
messages.
Well, thank you. That's a lot of vulnerability sharing that. And that's what we're all about.
Hmm.
So, yep. Ignited too. Oh, no, don't be sorry.
No, no,
No,
this
no, no,
is
no,
good.
no.
I feel like this is our intention, is to try to connect with
Exactly.
people who need it in the moment. So hopefully we've, given, you can feel our love coming through, and hope that have a little bit better day today.
Yeah, absolutely. Nope. Never be sorry for saying how you feel. That's probably a lot of the reason why most of us are in situations like this, is because at one point or another we've had to apologize for having big feelings, for making
Hmm.
somebody uncomfortable with having big feelings.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
people like that suck.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know, a big, I don't want to, I won't be rude. I want to be, but I won't. Um, yeah, because that's a lot of the reason why I got to where I was. Cause I'm like, why the hell do I have to live with this shit?
Yeah.
Like, this may be about you, but this was done to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and.
And one of the things about being a sensitive person, or being in touch with your emotions and your vulnerability, is like, and I learned this later on, like when I was a child, I didn't get it, but obviously, but when you're like going through life later on, like it becomes a superpower. Like what used to be like a problem for me, or what people told me was a problem, being sensitive, and it has become like a superpower, because now I'm able to connect with people very easily. I'm very like open-minded to people, and I think that that's a great quality to have, and I appreciate it now. My little boy, who's 4 years old, is very sensitive too, and he's just like me. And I like, now I cultivate that and help him like understand what his emotions are. But now I cultivate that. I'm like, that is going to serve you well in life, because
Yeah,
you're going to be able to, have lots of beautiful connections with people, and at the end of the day, like that's a beautiful part of life, and it's,
absolutely.
and the life is tough as enough as it is. We don't need, other people telling us to fucking suck it up.
Well, imagine, and this may be a very controversial thing to say, but imagine how much different the world would be if we were to cultivate men having emotions and being able to speak about the shit that they don't talk about, that they bury and turns into rage and all sorts of other shitty stuff. And I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, that may not be a popular opinion, but exactly, ignited. Exactly. I 100% absolute torture. Like, why the fuck do I have to hold this for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no, thank you. But like you see it so often, and even like situations that are going through now, and you see these men that are like they're experiencing a very, to them, a traumatic experience, in the sense that they're losing a really important part of their lives, and neither of them are able to cope with it.
Yeah.
They don't talk about it. You can see it, you can feel the tension. It is
Yeah.
like absolutely unbelievable,
Yeah.
but nobody's doing anything about it, you know? And it's
Mhm.
that shit's gonna
It's
get stored
definitely not
and
a
it's
like
gonna
a
happen.
space that seems very like open, and I mean, talking about your emotions and things like that has always been sort of faux pas, I guess, which is crazy to me at this point in my life. But like,
Well,
yeah, totally angry with everything. Yeah, I get that. And that is a very real emotion. And that is part of part of the process. I've been very angry at times. Actually, and I mean, depending on sort of what you're referring to, being angry is kind of a good thing because that means that you're like not willing to fucking take it anymore. Like I chose to like sort of take some of the anger from some of the things I've been through and turn it to something positive. It like gave me that motivation because it was like I should be pissed off that these things happened, but I can make it better. Like I can make something. I have to be able to figure out a way to make my situation better. So I get being angry, and that is, I think, very much a part of the process. And it is a bit of a roller coaster. Not a bit, it is a roller
yeah.
coaster.
Well, I think anger used, if you use it properly, like I mean, obviously you see anger being misused all the time or just not even addressed at all, and that's what turns into
Mhm.
rage, and rage is, absolutely deadly.
Yeah.
But I mean, anger when it's put towards something, something that's going to be like towards the greater good of a situation, it makes all the difference, right? It's all about where you project it
Yeah.
and how you project it.
So I
Again,
can
my opinion.
see that you're referring to survivor's guilt, and
Oh, okay.
that is um yeah, that would be, I have not really experienced that. Although we did in the last we did a live a couple of days ago with Bees, her name. She was lovely and she has lots to share. If you don't, maybe you already follow her or have found us through her, but she spoke to the survivor's guilt. And Courtney, did you talk about that a little bit too? Like the survivor's guilt is something new to me that I'm learning about. And I
Um,
I get I get the like premise behind like the survivor's guilt where you like wish you is it like you wish that you could have been
I
in.
think it was my Aunt Lori actually that was talking about that in the
Oh,
chat
okay.
because her brother was killed in a car accident and her mother made her told her that it should have been her and not the
Oh, sorry.
brother. So she just always, felt like it shouldn't have been me that, I should have been the one. Sorry, it was a car accident or a motor, yeah, car accident. Um, it should have been, me, not him. And then always felt guilty because, I mean, in her situation, it was because somebody told her
Yeah.
that. Like that was. So I mean, survivor's guilt would be very, yes,
Very
yes, we
real.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's different for everybody, right? Because everybody has a different situation. It's like, somebody having survivor's guilt because they survived a situation, but then, something something didn't happen so that person can still out, and perpetrate and do whatever, right? Or somebody who makes you feel that way because they're angry and they're projecting that anger, or somebody you were in a car accident and the one person died and you survived, right? Like there's so many different, it's a very
yeah.
faceted, very different for everybody, I would imagine how that.
Yeah, and I like again, my heart goes out to you because that is I'm sure a very difficult thing to feel. And my only sort of um like recommendation is that you are here for a reason and you are already, you understand sort of what some of these elements are, like even the fact that you know what that you're identifying with any of the survivor's guilt, like you can be an advocate for understanding what these things are and helping other people who've been through it and talking about it. And you will be a pillar of strength for somebody else who's gone through it if you keep talking about it. because that is, yeah, that is very difficult.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're here for a reason, my friend. You're here
Yeah,
for a reason.
absolutely. And you're not alone on that either. You know, there's a lot of people that have felt that way when things feel that desperate.
Yeah.
You know, and I really,
Unfair.
that's the
It
other
feels
thing is
very unfair.
taking, exactly, ignited, exactly. And that's the thing is taking the stigma out of that too. And I'm going to be really, again, controversial here when I say this. There aren't very many people that have not experienced that desperation and just wanting things to be over because it is that
Painful.
hard.
Yeah.
It's that hard to handle. It's that hard to feel. You know, it's sometimes so much easier to just be like, I don't want to be here. I want to go. And there's no shame in that. And that's what really, really fucking bugs me. When you go through something so horrific and so hard, and people say to you, well, that's a coward's thing to do. That's so shitty to say that to people. Because when you felt
Not
that, oh,
true.
here we go.
It is not true. The people who have been in those moments that feel so desperate to just make a change like that, it's you're doing it. What's going through your head is that life will be easier for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I am just contributing to a bigger problem, or I'm causing people discomfort, and that's not true. But that's what you feel like in the moment. You want to just, and you want to make your own pain end, and it's um there's there's different terminologies for it, and I don't want to say them because I'm not an expert, but there's people who feel like they've done something horrific and then they choose to end their situation. There's
Yeah.
people who are so uncomfortable in their situation because of the sadness and the like just those deep deep emotions that you feel like you're not meant to be here. And I
Yeah.
have felt like that in my life where it's like I'm just not meant to be here anymore. Like life keeps trying to take me out and I'm just going to like go with it. But it's I think there is a piece of you I hope that you can find within yourself to know that, to believe that you are meant to be here for a reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's tough. It's very
Well, it is.
difficult.
It totally is. But I mean, we all go through it. We all go through those times where we feel that way, especially if you're living in a really, you know, in that sort of state of numbness, right?
Yeah.
It happens. We think it. I don't think that. I think taking the stigma out of it and identifying that this does happen to people, and that there are ways to move through it, and there's support, and you
Mm.
know, there's better days ahead
Yeah.
is the most important part, as opposed to driving it home that there's something wrong with you if you think that way, because that's
Yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
right? And that's the part for me where, again, why we do what we do,
Yeah.
because we really want to drive those messages home that it's about, you know, these are real feelings, and they deserve to be identified, and they deserve to be also given that respect and love, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because like I'm sure we all have lots of love and light to give the world, and that is at our core what we want to do. But it's hard at times, especially with, just life is difficult. Like just every day, is there's a lot going on, and it doesn't really matter where you live or what you're involved with. Like it just seems like it's just constant. There's always stuff to do. There's the to-do list
It's a
is
battle.
always getting bigger, and you got a lot of people in your life who you are trying to, like, whether they're colleagues or family or whatever, or friends, like you're trying to balance all of these things, and like sometimes you just need to take a little bit of a step back for yourself and know that like you are worth like like making that time for yourself, I guess. Is you should make that time for yourself, because whether we know it is through
Well,
meditation
yeah,
or
and
something
not,
like that,
yeah.
it helps.
And like not bogging yourself down too with when you feel like shit, right? And being like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not being productive. Oh, I suck at this. Oh, I'm, like I should be doing more. Maybe I am the problem because we all do that, right? Like we trauma shame ourselves when we're feeling a certain way. Like we emotionally shame ourselves on top of that. We're just like, oh, I shouldn't feel this emotion right now. I've already felt this. Oh, it annoys everybody when I feel like this and nobody wants to hear it. And it's like too fucking bad. Like
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to live it. So, if you can't spare 5 minutes to let me vent a little bit, then bye. That's what I've evolved to now, right?
No, it's
I'm
true. Yeah,
at that point.
yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully that was sorry, that was a you know, it's difficult to talk about even for myself, but I have, gotten to a place where I'm feeling better, and you will too, and it just take a little bit of time and give yourself that grace to know that it's something that,
Absolutely.
will work itself out, and there is the light
Well,
at the end of the tunnel, like I said.
and in the meantime, you have lots of support.
Mhm.
There's lots of creators on here that are very, very supportive and have really great inspirational stuff. So, check out Ignited, check out Be Woman of Faith.
Mhm.
Bonnie's got really awesome stuff too. I always
Mhm.
love watching Bonnie's stuff. She always like lifts me up. She's got the cutest little voice and she's just like so
Yeah,
sweet and funny.
Bonnie.
I love
Yeah,
it.
you'll have to. I don't know if she's still watching, but Bonnie, yeah, she's got like all sorts of really. It's just very happy and lighthearted, and which is, it's
Yeah,
nice to be able to go into, like, one of these apps that are like, there's lots of doom and gloom if you're wanting that, but then there's also lots of people doing fun, happy things, and
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Exactly, Ignited. You 100% are here for a reason. We are
yeah.
grateful for that. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we're going to shut this down. It's been over an hour, and for some reason, it keeps trying to make me put pieces in a puzzle to verify my life. So I don't really know what that's about. So,
To verify your
um,
life?
yeah, it made me do this thing where I had to like put a puzzle. I don't know what's going on there, but anyways, I'm gonna check that out. But yeah, we have resources in our link tree for support, and um, we hope you guys all have an amazing day. And
Yeah.
thank you, Ignited, and everybody for being here. And
No, don't say sorry.
no, don't be
No more saying
silly.
sorry. Please join us
Yeah,
again. And we have our Facebook
absolutely.
community. It's just the Got Trauma Podcast community on Facebook. If you want to join, um, and continue more conversation, or send us a DM or anything like that, it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be. This is the whole purpose, right? We're talking, and oh, thank you. We want
It
to.
goes like on your head, like a hat or
I
something.
know it's funny. No, we want to be supportive, so don't ever apologize. That's what we did our whole lives was apologized, and
Yeah.
now we're like, hell no. So
Yeah.
you can join our hell no, not apologizing.
Yeah.
Just gonna be. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, guys, have a blessed day. Love you all. Monica, I'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye, guys.
everybody.